All right, today we have ODM's AC Maiden versus ODM Alfredino. Again, he's changed his name, doing some pest control to have a little bit of a laugh, a little bit of fun. Some people change their Steam names a lot. I actually did too before. I was on Turin's channel a couple times as Human Boy Yes Yes playing Skaven, and then people kind of got to know me, and I was like, well, I don't want to change my name too much because I want people to know when it's me. Because I am vain. It's Khorne versus Tomb Kings. Not a matchup you get to see a lot. So the tricky part for the Tomb Kings is you are, like most undead, you're going to feed a shit ton of kills into Khorne. Pretty much no matter what you do, it's really hard to go a narrow build because a lot of the undead strength comes from their chaff infantry, especially with the vampire counts and Tomb Kings. And then you rely heavily on healing. And something like Khorne, they just want to kill you. Like, they want to get as many kills as possible and fuel their army passives and stuff. So that is a little bit tricky. Looks like we have a no-ranged build. It is melee versus melee. Skeleton warriors and skeleton spearmen, so the front line just as cheap as possible. Backed up by a ton of melee Ushapti, looks like 4 of them. 2 Necropolis Knights with halberds. We do have a Necrotect with his healing, plus his buffs. So all of the constructs around him being the Ushapti or the Necropolis Knights get armor, missile resist, melee attack, arm piercing damage, and he does have 2 heals charged up for them. We also have Arc in the Black. Fate of Muna, Spirit Leech. Liber Mortis, and both of his good items, so he has some summons, some Winds of Magic regen, all that good stuff for him. Yeah, it's a melee Tomb King's Rush. I wouldn't think this would work versus Khorne. I personally am not a big believer in melee Ushapti. I think they are decidedly okay, and I think Necropolis Knights are giga trash. On the other side for Khorne, we have Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons, Marauders of Khorne, Marauders of Khorne, Marauders of Khorne. We have some Minotaurs with great weapons. Looks like 3 of them, 2 of which have the great weapons. More Marauders, so all Marauders for infantry. Then Fleshhounds of Khorne in the backfield. And of course we have Valkia the Bloody, who's probably going to throw some Spear Sloupneers down this clustered front line and get some value. Not the exact angle I would have chosen, but ended up actually looking really good. All right. Nice. And Valkia even dives in. We do just have a big brawl, a big bash, as Khorne warriors and Minotaurs continue to try and push through these undead scum. The snakes are going to try and hold them back as the Minotaurs bray and shout and get generally angry. The Minos don't seem to be having a good time on the model front, but on the health front they're doing just fine. Demon Shield is popped for Valkia to keep her safe in the fight when she is surrounded by Ushapti at this moment. Khorne's front line is getting pushed back a little bit by all these monstrous infantry and such. Fleshhounds getting in the backfield. It's not like there's any archers to stop or anything, but still, rear charges could do them some good. And the Necropolis Knights already getting a restore onto them because of the damage they're taking from these Minotaurs. I think the Minotaurs are having the best day of anybody here. We do have some AFK Fleshhounds just chilling, waiting for an opportunity to strike. I think they should probably just rear charge some of the Skeleton Spearmen and start tearing through them. Fleshhounds are decent crowd-clearing combatants. They even get into that. We do see Arkin's passive go off. He is doing damage to all of the Khorne units around him because he took too much damage. That's not necessarily a good thing for the Tomb Kings, and the balance of power is still about dead even. Fleshhounds tearing through some of this chaff on the side. More chaff is starting to fade away, and an Ushapti summon is already coming out from the Tomb Kings. Now, not all has been bad for the Tomb Kings. They have pushed off 1 Minotaur, it looks like. They shattered a Marauder of Khorne. Some Fleshhounds are disintegrating away. So they're trading back a bit. I do think the current state of play value is in Khorne's favor. I would have to think he almost has a Sword of Khorne by now, and I wonder, I mean, higher level players might just use the lower tier stuff consistently, but I would be very tempted to throw a Sword of Khorne down on some of these chaff and just get rid of them. But we'll see. Valkia takes a Spirit Leech. She's fighting the Necrotect, and the Necrotect is not exactly who she wants to be fighting. Arkin is up on a horse giving Valkia her bonus versus large. Necrotect has a bonus versus infantry, which Valkia has infantry size, something I always forget. Ooh, and Ushapti have a bonus versus infantry against her. So yeah, Valkia is extremely susceptible to all this stuff. Minotaurs and Fleshhounds ganging up on these Necropolis Knights who are very injured, but the Minotaurs are also quite injured and get pushed off actually quite handedly. Valkia does get back up in the sky, and she has one more use of the Spear Sloupnir, so not something to be ignored just yet. It even is coming in now. Doesn't do any friendly fire on the backfield there. Just a little bit, but overall it was worth it. Another Skeleton Spearman gone. Another Ushapti. That is the Ushapti summon, but it straight up died in melee combat. So, battlefield is thinning out quite a lot. Another Spirit Leech onto Valkia. Arkin the Black is just sitting in a pile of big constructs, daring her to dive down one more time. Meanwhile, the rest of the Tomb King's army, where Arkin is not, is completely falling apart. And Valkia is just going to go support that. She does not want to solo dive into Arkin's monster blob. Not at all. Though these Minotaurs might. If you get some Marauders of Khorne to saturate them and then have the Minotaurs jump over the backline, Minotaurs would have a field day on that monster blob, dude. More Ushapti, more Skeleton Warriors die. And this is a summon, so the Tomb Kings are all out of infantry that are actually here. That summon will eventually fade away and it'll just be monsters, which means these Minotaurs won't get distracted by any tiny skeletons. They're even just going to jump in now. One Necropolis Knight is awful close to death. Another one doing okay for now. I wonder, is there even another restore? There's no more restore, so that is the health that they get. Marauders, Flesh Hounds, Minotaurs, everybody jumping in. Valkia takes another Spirit Leech that she's not very happy about. These Marauders of Khorne probably have to saturate in. There's no Mortis Engine type effect that's stopping them from joining the fight. It's not like they take damage just for joining the fight, and they should be helping kill off these Skeleton Wars and such. Valkia dives in. She gets Spirit Leeched yet again. I think that is part of the calculation here, is she's like, listen, I'm sitting outside the fight. I'm just getting Spirit Leeched anyway. I might as well dive in. Might as well offer some of my damage since I'm just going to die anyway. Maybe take that Arkin Prick out with me. One Necropolis Knight is fading away entirely. The other one very low. Ushapti very low. And the Minotaurs are also not feeling exactly the best, barely hanging on, barely clinging to life. Flesh Hounds of Khorne also nibbling away. And the balance power shifts back in the favor of the Tomb Kings. We do have some Marauders that have come back, more Marauders, more Minotaurs that have come back. They do need to actually rejoin the fight rather than standing so far away. We have more Flesh Hounds that have also not rejoined the fight. I think Khorne needs to get a little more aggressive with their other assets here, especially considering how low Valkia is. And honestly, at this point, Valkia might just want to fly away and like fly to the farthest corner of the map so that she doesn't die. But it looks like instead she is just going to go out swinging, go out fighting. Another Spirit Leech is going to take her down. Does she pop the tier 2 Khorne army passive? She does not, so that will not keep her healthy, that will not make her unbreakable, and she does die off. Arkin is very low. He's crumbling sometimes, not crumbling other times. The bounce power all of a sudden shifts significantly in the favor of Khorne, and that skeleton summon helps bring it back towards the middle, but all of a sudden, Tomb King's not looking so hot according to the balance of power. Arkin's leadership is fine for now, 22. He's chilling, but we all saw it go negative a little bit ago, so you never know how long he really is going to hang on. Minotaurs getting pushed off again. Even the ones off in the distance are routing now that Valkia died. Oh, yeah, that is something I was considering, as Valkia just died. So these Marauders of Khorne are right now the only things that are really staying in the fight. I suppose these Flesh Hounds are too. They can't break. They would just disintegrate. And they're even getting Spirit Leech. The Tomb Kings have identified them as a major problem. I don't know why they're opting out of the fight so often. You think they would just want to saturate and get that Ushapti. Maybe they're trying to wait for the Skeleton Warriors to die off, maybe. Looks like now they are just taking a charge straight onto Arkin. They are trying to shut him down. That is understandable, but he just gets back into the blob. He'll be fine. Ushapti crumbling as slowly as possible. Someday they will actually die, but for now it's just crumbling. And the Flesh Hounds do make short work of them. Now remember, this is also a summon, so really what's all in the field is an almost dead Arkin, a full health Necrotect. That summon is fading in like 5 seconds, but so are the Flesh Hounds of Khorne. Another Horn of Khorne popped on them for the extra melee attack. Not that they really need it. They fade as the skeleton summon fades. Bounce power goes back to the middle. And Arkin, sweet Arkin, takes a little bit of damage and starts crumbling yet again. Then he rallies. He'll always rally. Takes a rear charge from some Marauders. Maybe that'll bring him down. Again, crumbling is his worst enemy now. There's no more healing left for him. The army pass for the Tomb Kings has already been all used up. And he is not the lore of Nehekara, so it's not like casting spells gives him anything. He tries to get some charging bonuses, because if you're charging something, your leadership goes up, but the jukes aren't enough. He has enemies behind him, and as long as enemies are behind him, he's going to take a penalty. The exposed flanks ones that you see down there. Charging gives him a very brief leadership hiatus, but he is down to 100 HP, crumbling once again, and Arkin is going to die. And without Arkin, there will be no summons for this little Necrotect. Balance power still about even. Necrotect fighting. No armor piercing, but it's not like Marauders of Khorne have that crazy of armor anyway. So the Necrotect using his 45 melee defense, 45 melee attack, 30 melee defense, and bonus versus infantry to his very best. Fighting all these Marauders. The Marauders start to break. Some of them are even shattering. More Marauders are coming back. Can all of the Marauders of Khorne fight him down? Necrotech down to half HP since we last looked. There's 240 Marauders left, but they are breaking because Khorne Marauders are strangely bad with leadership. Like, they are just dog shit with leadership. Necrotech is starting to crumble, and usually when the last unit starts crumbling, army losses takes effect. It kind of treats him like a routing unit on a mortal roster. But we'll see. His leadership actually rallies, so he's not crumbling just yet. More Marauders with dual weapons are trying to join the fight. Other Marauders with dual weapons trying to hang in there. They rout, and their rout might cause their friends back here to rout. It does. And the chain rout of the pathetic Khorne Marauders does lead to a Tomb King's victory. And in case you're like, Human Boy, you're shitting on the Marauders of Khorne a lot. Khorne should be the melee infantry guy, and his Marauders are like 500 fucking gold. So these things suck ass. Like, I would rather have clan rats. I would rather have skeletons than those guys. And skeletons and clan rats are 300 gold. I don't know. Marauders of Khorne suck. They're kind of crucial to the roster because they're the only cheap infantry you can bring, but still, these things are garbage. I hate them. All right. Arkin, 1,500 value, very nice on him. 1,200 and 1,600 on the Necropolis Knights. They had some nice support. They did pretty well. Overall, Necrotech did just fine. Ushapti, mixed, but overall, okay. Skeleton Spears, Skeleton Warriors, mixed, but overall, fine. The other side for AC Maiden, 2,100 on Valkia, 1,400, 1,900, and 500 on his Minotaurs. Fleshhounds, 450-ish, 100, 600-ish, 800-ish. And then Marauders, 600, 500, 450. So, decent value bumping and grinding over time. They just don't kill anything that quickly, and their leadership sucks. But with the Tomb Kings, you have to kill them all like twice. I don't know. I imagine there was a lot of Horn of Khornes getting used, but it's not like having more melee attack gives you more damage. I think your melee attack was already plenty high. I don't think that all these Marauders and Fleshhounds and Minotaurs needed even more melee attack. I think you needed more damage. So I would have either hoped for the tier 2 army ability that gives you Undying on of your Fleshhounds when they start their demonic instability. I would have preferred that, or save up for a Sword of Khorne and just nuke some of those infantry blobs. But teach their own. I'm not that good of a Khorne player, so maybe I should just shut up. Goodbye, everybody. Roar. Subscribe, yes.